What is up, everybody? Welcome to this second live show here on Touchline Talk, previewing the World Cup, getting you ready for everything that is going to take place in North America next month. We are getting very, very close. That means more rosters have been announced, including finally, after some leaking and the official whole announcement today, the U.S. men's national team roster. So I'm going to run through that first, give some more detailed thoughts, and then continue our preview series here by looking at groups D, E, and F, giving you a brief rundown of all the teams so that by the end of these four shows, we've talked about all 48 teams participating in the tournament. U.S. roster leaked a little bit early, officially announced, introduced in New York earlier today. We have our 26 players, so I'm going to go position by position here, just give some brief thoughts and talk a little bit about kind of what this means and the big takeaways and the message that Mauricio Pochettino is sending and what to kind of expect from this group based on the players who were and were not chosen, and give some of my thoughts on along the way as well. Starting with the goalkeepers, no huge surprises here. Matt Turner, Matt Freese, Chris Brady. The question was really which MLS Midwestern-based goalkeeper was going to be the third one, whether it was one of the Ohio guys or Chris Brady. It's ultimately Brady who gets the nod. Freese and Turner have been the top two keepers for this team for a while, and the interesting dynamic here is that based on everything that we have seen since the Gold Cup, Matt Freese is going to be the starter. He's going to be the starter every single game. This is not a competition. That's the assumption going into this tournament. And Matt Freese got the opportunity to then kind of solidify, or at least everybody seems to think, solidify his position as the starter, because there were a bunch of guys in Europe who weren't getting on the field. They all came back to MLS, and specifically last season, he just kind of outperformed all of them, which then gave him the opportunity. He took that opportunity. He has been better for the U.S. than Matt Turner. There's no question about that. And so now he's projected to be the number one. The interesting part is that, again, all of these guys play in MLS, and through the first couple months in the MLS season, there is no question that Matt Turner has been a better goalkeeper than Matt Freese. Matt Turner coming back to the New England Revolution and actually getting a off season and getting ready to go from the beginning. New England's been one of the surprises early on. They've been really good. He's been really good. He's a big reason why they've been really good. He's a phenomenal MLS goalkeeper. And so it's almost done this 180 where Freese kind of rose to the top because everybody else wasn't performing, and now Turner is back in a comfortable environment, playing really well, but Freese is the established, entrenched guy for this U.S. team. I don't expect this to change. I expect Freese to be the guy, like I've been saying. It's at least an interesting dynamic. I wanted to point out, though, that based on form right now at their clubs, there's no question that Matt Turner is in a better spot than Matt Freese. But based on what they have done for the U.S. and how Pochettino seems to feel about them, there's no question that Matt Freese is the guy. So you've got kind of these two conflicting things here, but I ultimately expect Pochettino to go with what he has seen, what Matt Freese has done for him, and I don't see this as a competition or a question in who's starting in net. Just an interesting observation I wanted to throw out there. Next, we get to the defenders. There are 10 of them, which is the first notable development here is that, number one, Pochettino really decided that he needed all of the defenders. You can read into that a couple different ways. First and foremost, this screams three in the back. This team has been playing that way. I think this team is at their best when they play that way. So I was happy to see that that appears to be what is going to happen here. Otherwise, why are you bringing 10 defenders for 4 spots? Makes a lot more sense to bring 10 for 5. The other potential question here, or thing you could maybe read into, is Chris Richards is somewhat healthy, kind of, sort of, obviously healthy enough to potentially be involved in the Conference League final for Crystal Palace, and obviously healthy enough to be on this roster and play a role for this team somewhere. Is it possible that another center back was brought because Pochettino is not entirely confident Chris Richards can continue, play 90 minutes every single game, or is going to be available from game one. Pochettino didn't seem to talk about it today, so we don't know. Maybe that is just speculation. There's absolutely nothing to it, and Chris Richards is going to be just fine, and he'll be out there June 12th, and we won't have any concerns. It's just another question because the Mark McKenzies, Miles Robinsons, Austin Trustees of the world, you thought were battling for 1 or 2 spots, and it turned out there was room for all of them. That was one of the big surprises with this roster. So it just raises some questions. The other thing I do like about this is you have a ton of positional versatility here. And you also have a guy in Tim Weah who's played some outside back, played some wing back. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But Joe Scally and Alex Freeman have both played in the back three. They can both play as wing backs. Alex Freeman is at his best at wing back. Max Arston is at his best at wing back. Serginho Dest is at his best at wing back. So you have guys who fit this system. And you can mix and match the pieces. If Pochettino wants to get Serginho Dest and Alex Freeman on the field together, he can do that. He can also just choose one and then make a substitution, or, Anthony Robinson plays on the left. US is chasing the game late. You find a way to throw Max Arston on the field as well. You have some kind of different elements here. You've got the experience in Tim Ream. You've got your 2 big European guys in Dest and Anthony Robinson, Joe Scally, battle-tested Borussia Mönchengladbach. You've got a wide variety of options here. That is the good news. The big question, especially at center back, is are they going to be good enough, and who ultimately ends up being those 2 guys next to Chris Richards, assuming he's healthy, because he is head and shoulders above everybody else at center back. He is the guy, the one you feel really good about. So if he is at all hampered by this injury, that is a major concern. The most interesting developments here came in the midfield. There's a lot to get to with this set of 10 players. The most notable thing that happened with this roster is that the other holding midfielders not named Tyler Adams got left off the squad. Specifically, Tanner Tessman, Aiden Morris. Tanner Tessman could very well be on his way to an even bigger European club than the well-known French club he already plays at. Aiden Morris just played in a promotion playoff final to get a chance to go to the Premier League. He's been one of Middlesbrough's best players this season. There wasn't room for either of them. There was room for Christian Roldan. There was room for Alex Ndejas. There was room for Sebastian Berhalter. And specifically Berhalter and Roldan, because you look at those are the 2 most natural guys to play in that deeper lying position by Tyler Adams, to spell Tyler Adams when Tyler Adams is unavailable for some reason. And that could have been Aiden Morris. That could have been Johnny Cardoso. That could have been Tanner Tessman. Where you feel much better having another one of those European guys, especially the anti-MLS group out there. You feel much better having one of those other guys in there. And Pochettino decided he didn't need them, any of them. Which raises some questions of what is this formation actually going to look like? If Tyler Adams is unavailable for whatever reason, that sounds like that is an MLS player coming next to him. Sebastian Berhalter has been phenomenal for the Vancouver Whitecaps. I will argue forever that he has earned his spot on this team and that he should be in this squad. He's been that good. He also just hasn't done anything at this level before, right? He hasn't played in a Champions League. He hasn't played in a top 5 league. Christian Roldan has at least a little bit of playing in the Club World Cup, and he's been through this before. But he's never been relied upon to go start a knockout stage game or a must-win. There's a different level of experience that outside Tyler Adams just doesn't exist at the holding midfielder position. You can put Weston McKennie back there, but that's not what Weston McKennie does best. And so this is a real, if you want to look at where Pochettino always backed MLS, supported MLS, and was serious about giving MLS guys opportunities, this is outside the goalkeeping situation. This is the other spot to look at that. That he might have to use Christian Roldan and or Sebastian Berhalter at some point. He might be planning to use one of them in a double pivot from the beginning. We just don't know. But that is one of the fascinating parts of this is that holding midfield, the defensive midfield position, there's just not a lot of depth there. There are some real question marks outside Tyler Adams. Then you've got the other part of this, which is the Gio Reyna, Alex, and Dejas portion of the conversation. I would have given real discussion and contemplation to bringing Xavier Gozo. For the exact reason why Gio Reyna is in this team, even though Gio Reyna has struggled for playing time, has never found a club where he really fits and can get on the field consistently. It's because you know he can do special things, and you need a difference maker and somebody who can create, and this team just doesn't have enough of those guys. Gozo was another option there. Zendejas got the nod over Gozo. Not that they're the exact same player. And Zendejas has been phenomenal for Club America. He's got that some of that creativity, the flair, the ability to make something out of nothing. That's why he and Reyna are here, and specifically why Reyna is here. The other part that has to be acknowledged with Gio Reyna, and I don't think this is going to be an issue because he's 4 years older, but this is a guy who nearly got thrown out of the last World Cup by his teammates because his attitude was so bad because he wasn't getting enough playing time. He is probably not starting for this team. Is he willing to embrace a role coming off the bench to be the guy to pull the strings in a tie game when you're trailing 1-0, whatever it might be, in extra time to try and get a goal? That's going to be his role here probably. Is he willing to embrace that? Because he offers something that just nobody else does. That's why he's here. Everybody else pretty much got this on some kind of club performance or their performance for the U.S. national team. And to be fair, Reyna has been good for the U.S., generally speaking. But he's kind of the exception to everything Pochettino's been teaching and talking about. Because you can't teach the stuff that this guy can do. You need difference makers. And the U.S. just doesn't have enough of them. Gio Reyna has proven he can be one. The other guy I want to give a quick shout out to and acknowledge, because again, he's probably not going to start, is Brenden Aaronson. Every team is better for having a player like Brenden Aaronson on it. This is another one. I will forever battle that he should be a lockdown member of this team. No questions asked. He's a specialist. You know exactly what he is, what he does, how to use him. You don't need to do anything more than that. Don't ask him to do anything more than that. But he's one of the best defensive attacking players in the world. There is tremendous value to having a player like that, especially when you get into later rounds and you're not going to have the ball. That's the guy that can go force a turnover, that can go really help set the tone in terms of a press, the kind of game that the U.S. got into against England at the last World Cup. That's where Brenden Aaronson thrives. If the U.S. is going to go where they want to go in this tournament, they're going to have some of those. It's great to have a player like Brenden Aaronson for those situations. And then obviously your bigger names, Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic. Not going to spend too much time on those. Everybody knew they were going. We know what the deal is. I'll talk about them more when I actually get to the U.S. preview here in Group D. And then finally, your strikers. This one actually kind of picked itself too. With Patrick Agyemang's injury, it became pretty clear it was going to be Flo Balogun, Ricardo Pepi, Haji Wright. The interesting thing about this group, and the good news about this group, is that unlike 2022, they're all playing really well and come into this in really good form. Balogun was scoring goals left and right against PSG. Pepe's had a really good season. Haji Wright's had a really good season. Frank Lampard can't say enough good things about him. Just got promoted to the Premier League. These are guys that have goals in them and were consistently producing goals for their clubs at a pretty high level this season. There isn't this big question mark of where the goal is going to come from. In theory. Again, we'll see if this actually comes to fruition. But all you can ask for is guys who've got confidence and feel good coming into the tournament. The U.S. absolutely has that at the striker position. And you have a guy in Pepe who is incredible coming off the bench. His per 90 numbers are off the charts. And you have a guy in Haji Wright who understands how to do this and how to produce off the bench as well. They all kind of know how to fit into their roles. That's a really good sign as well.